Jocelyn Norton, welcome to the Orgasmic Lifestyle Podcast. It's a real pleasure to have you here. For those who are unfamiliar with your work, could you tell us what you do?
Hi, Venus, and thank you so much for having me. It's an absolute pleasure to be here and chatting with you today. So, I am what you call a narcissistic abuse recovery and confidence coach. I have been a life coach for the past 10 years, but branched off into the narcissistic world in helping ladies heal from narcissistic trauma, whether it's in relationships or in the work environment or, just within the family, just guiding them through understanding it and why it's occurred and how to maneuver through the healing so that the healing is done correctly. And then, of course, how to grow within yourself, building that relationship and thriving in this life that you have.
Amazing. So, what inspired you to follow this path?
So many years ago, so how this path started actually was I was a personal trainer and health coach, and I fell in love with the world of life coaching. So I did life coaching for a while, and then I experienced a narcissistic partner. And it was in that specific relationship that taught me a lot about narcissism. It taught me a lot about our relationship. It taught me a lot about her, and it also taught me a lot about myself in the process of this relationship, which guided me in that direction to purely focus on narcissistic abuse recovery.
Wow. So, we hear the word narcissist a lot. I mean, on Instagram, for example, I see all of those carousels about relationships, and it's a word that's thrown around a lot. But what does it actually mean? How can we define
Sure.
it?
Yeah. It's quite a hard word to pronounce. It's not
Mm,
the nicest word,
mm,
but basically, narcissistic or narcissism
mm,
occurs from certain traits when you're young. Um, Perhaps someone would have had avoidant parents, the avoidant attachment, which caused someone to seek validation, basically trying to put themselves on their own imaginary pedestal and making themselves sound superior. And that's what make them feel good. So they were filling like empty voids,
mm.
So instead of doing the work from within, they were seeking it externally from others and at the same time putting other people down in order for themselves to feel good. So basically, people who are narcissistic or have narcissistic traits, I want to say they are a version of a broken empath. I know that doesn't
Oh,
sound
wow.
great.
Interesting. I thought it was the opposite. I thought it was that's so interesting. How to explain that? It sounds like they're the opposite things, I would assume.
Yeah. So everyone is a
Mm,
natural empath,
mm,
but it's the work that you do on yourself,
mm,
and it's that love that you share. So if you're not empathetic, you're not sharing any love. You don't understand what empathy is. But often you'll find in relationships, it's always the narc that attracts the empath, and it's always the empath that attracts the narc. And the special teaching here for the empath is actually understanding when it comes to empathy, what can you learn about yourself with your empathic gift? So we're always trying to give to others, which is great, and that's what we should do. But how can you give back to yourself? What can you learn about yourself through your own empathy?
mm.
And a narc doesn't have that gift. So that's why we call them a broken empath. And if they do a lot of work on themselves, if they choose to, then they can slowly understand and break free from their narcissism, which requires a lot of work, and slowly reel in versions of empathy. But it will take a lot of time and a lot of learning
Mm.
for a narc to even choose to want to do that.
So, what kind of behaviors is related to narcissism?
Sure. Um, Lots of variety of behavior. So gaslighting, manipulating, lying, basically implying that they'll basically portray and reflect their mirror onto you and say, you're this, you're that, you're saying this, and so on and so on. So it's like those kind of traits,
Mm,
which is really unhealthy, of which people need to look out for. But I wanted to share this with you today.
mm,
So the pattern of narcissistic abuse and for what women need to look out for when it
mm,
comes to a narc walking into their life and how to realize that they've actually got a narc in their life.
mm,
So um, a narcissist will always mirror your love, your light, your empathy, and your dreams. And to you, it will feel as if you've met your soulmate because they are basically just reflecting all of who you are, your mirror, back to you because they are wanting to get what they can out of you.
mm,
Okay. And you yourself think that you've met the most amazing partner. Okay. But in actual fact, they're using that against you. And once the comfort and trust sets in, so your comfort and your trust sets in, then the manipulation from their side begins to occur. And it doesn't make you feel good. That's where you start to receive a lot of aha moments. Okay, like your intuition is telling you this doesn't feel right. This doesn't feel healthy. So, what you tend to do naturally is we would then stick up for ourselves, leading by our own consciousness and truth as we stand up for ourselves. And they don't like that. So, a lot of the gaslighting now steps in.
mm,
Okay. And this is where they will start to now reflect their mirror onto you and calling you versions of yourself that aren't even true, and even saying certain stories about yourself that aren't even true. And then what will happen is the more you start to realize, no, this isn't right, and you start feeling your self-worth starts to
mm,
lower down and you don't feel good about yourself, so you start getting all of those versions of yourself and it just won't feel right. So you obviously won't do what they want you to do because you're not feeling good from within. And then what will happen is they will create a victim mentality within themselves because now they've realized that they're not getting what they want from you. So let's play victim. And let's say you're snapping at me, you're doing all of this to me. So I'm just going to play victim so that you can feel sorry for me. And then once they start to win you back,
mm,
okay, then the flattery occurs. And then
mm,
again, it's that cycle of now they're reflecting your love, your light, your empathy, and your dreams. And
mm,
it's that cycle is just going to keep repeating. And you're going to be on a high, then you're going to be on a low, and then on a high and on a low until you actually grasp the concept of this relationship isn't good for me. I'm
mm,
constantly up and down. My emotions are all over the place, and I'm pulled so far away from my truth.
mm. Okay.
And then, yeah, and then
Mm.
that's when we need to actually sit within ourselves and decide, okay, what is next?
So at the beginning stage, I mean, I've heard that, let's say in the seduction, is love bombing quite common with narcissists?
With
Yeah. Yeah.
yes,
Yeah. So,
yeah.
so for those who don't know what love bombing is, what is love bombing, and is it kind of is it very typical of narcissists? And is it
Yeah.
real? Do they think it's real? I mean,
Well, they want to feel good about themselves.
mm,
So they're going to love bomb you because that's making them feel superior.
mm,
And of course, you're going to feel flattered by it, even though it's actually a negative thing,
mm,
and you shouldn't feel flattered by it. So
mm,
at the end of the day, the empath or the partner needs to work on their boundaries to actually allow what they are saying yes and no to.
Mm. Because
And
love
once
bombing
they
is
have,
very alluring, love bombing, because you feel seen by someone, you know, because I think the world of dating is kind of very complicated. So when someone's
yeah,
love bombing you, it can make you feel, oh my God. I think a lot of people are susceptible or kind of, you know, sensitive to that because there's a lot of loneliness and disconnection in the world.
yes, yeah,
Mm,
there is. But at the same time, we need to be so content within ourselves and we
mm,
need to understand ourselves first so
mm,
that we can recognize the love bombing. Like,
mm,
how sincere is this person being? What
mm,
are their intentions behind this love bombing? It's about really building that awareness.
mm. So for those who are unaware of the term of love bombing, how would we define it? Would be like declarations of love very, very soon or flattery, all this kind of stuff. What, anything else?
Yeah, definitely in the very beginning.
Mm,
And I want to say, like, watch their intentions all the time. So,
mm,
like, understand their communication. How is it they are communicating with you
mm,
where this love bombing is occurring? So, in what part of any conversation does leads into love bombing, or any kind of action or actions that they're not receiving from you leads
mm,
into love bombing?
mm,
And then, you know, really dive deep into your intuition.
mm. So you mentioned I saw it on Instagram. You spoke about you did a live with someone about the spiritual reasons of I can't remember what it was exactly. Something about spirituality and how why you attract these things, or what's the lesson? Can you explain like how does spirituality play a role in this?
Sure. So, in regards to narcissistic abuse, we attract them on a very deep level, okay?
Mm,
On a subconscious level, call it like that, like where we're learning. And we have what's called entities. So, entities are like it's dark energy, okay, that forms, and dark energy can attach itself to anything. So, it's very negative. So, basically, we as human beings, so like an empath attracts a narcissist into
mm,
their life, okay? And as much like we don't want narcissists in our life, but there's a reason why that narcissistic appeared in our lives. And we've got to help ourselves and understand, why did this person come into our lives? Like, what is the teaching? So, what is the spiritual teaching? What is the truth behind this that I need to learn within myself, which goes into spirituality if you want to go that deep into spirituality. So, you get entities,
mm,
but also at the same time, we also just have teachings. And if we continue to align ourselves with our truth and our light and our love,
mm,
we can work through the spiritual side of the like the negative energy around it and dismantle it.
mm,
Okay. And that's why for me, so I do neurolinguistic programming and I'm also
mm,
very spiritual myself. So I like to blend the two together because it's very important that we work with our subconscious mind as well as our conscious mind. So two are working together. And in your conscious self, you are understanding everything within your subconscious side and helping to break those toxic blocks
mm,
that you have occurred within yourself, or why there is this entity and how to remove that entity and this narcissistic relationship and behavior.
mm.
What is it here to teach me?
So for someone who's, let's say, on dating apps or dating in general, are there any kind of protection rituals that you would recommend to kind of protect oneself from these energy vampires? I mean, is there anything you can do to kind of have some kind of protection from that?
Sure. And all I can say is, when you enter in on these dating apps, is to be true to yourself in such a way that you're holding a light over yourself. So you're surrounded by white light and you
Mm,
can see that protection. Okay,
mm,
and you can feel that protection of your godly light all around you. And it's protecting you from potential relationships that are unserving.
mm,
Okay. And it's protecting you from those relationships entering into your light. So it's very important to lead with the intentions of, I will bring forth a safe and secure partner into my life, a partnership that serves me, a partnership that adds value to my life. So as long as you're leading with all of those intentions while feeling safe and protected at the same time, that is the best thing to do. And then also to catch yourself on the dating apps, like be aware, you know, because there's obviously going to be all kinds of characters on the dating apps, you
absolutely,
know.
yeah. It's a minefield. I've
And
never done it actually. I've never just been too afraid of all the people on there, and I think opening up to so many different energies.
yeah,
That's a lot of people. That's how people meet people these days, though. So,
it is the modern
mm,
way.
mm,
I don't do dating apps myself.
mm,
I believe in fate, and
mm,
I believe in the right time will occur and the right partner will come my way. I constantly work on myself
mm,
so that when the right partner comes in, I know I'm not wasting my time.
mm.
And
Okay.
I do have high values and high standards.
So do you have clients who are actually like in their relationships and they've identified the narcissism and they want to improve it, or are they already kind of like over the relationship?
So I'll have some clients that are in marriages and
Mm.
they at that separation phase and
Oh
they
wow.
want to exit,
Mm.
but then it's the narc that's reeling them back in, and
Okay.
then they need to keep up that courage and
Mm.
confidence to exit out of it. Um, and it's getting them to truly understand their marriage or their relationship, and understand what healing needs to occur and the trauma around it and where that trauma actually comes from. Because trauma is, there's always a deeper root
Mm.
of the trauma. So we may be in a narcissistic relationship, but how did we attract that narcissism into our life is the big question. So where did the root actually start? Because if you think about all of these partners, and if you want to be spiritual here,
Mm.
we, we are all souls. I like to call ourselves souls rather than people.
Mm.
Um, and my relationship with youth, for example, I'm basically just understanding my mirror through you. So I'm understanding my reflection that needs to be learned through my relationship with you.
Mm.
And when we go into relationships and marriages, when we fall in love with that individual, we actually falling in love with those versions of ourselves,
Mm.
even though they're wonderful people and we love them, but we love that deeper version of ourselves that we receive through them on a deep subconscious level.
Mm. Yeah, I think I was just actually writing an article today about love and what it really means to love someone. I think people confuse it with, need, or it's about how you make me feel rather than the
Mm.
actual person. And it's going through some definitions I've seen are related to narcissism. I mean, I came across one called narc supply. Would that be a I mean, narc supply, that was a kind of fun one. And hoovering and I can't remember what else, but what is narc supply? Is that is it kind of like some kind of substance that the narc gets from the empath? Does it
Yeah,
kind of
um,
mm,
definitely, because they wanting whatever they can get from you for their own needs or their own wants. And
mm,
then when they've received all of that from you, they disrespect you completely, you know.
wow.
And then as soon as and you start going, like, this isn't right, this isn't healthy, and they start to figure out that you getting to understand them, they don't like that.
Mm.
So then that's when the manipulation and the gaslighting occurs, and so on and so on.
So, do you think there is an awareness that they are doing this? Do you think there's a possibility of someone who knows that they're having these behaviors and they could potentially
Mhm.
improve? Do you think that's possible?
They are very aware,
Oh,
and
wow.
it's like
Mm.
as if they've learned you well enough to behave in that way that they are, and they're doing it because they need that validation.
Mm.
You know, they need to feel superior. They don't do the work internally. They do the work externally on others to make
Okay.
them feel good, which doesn't, there's no healing. And as human beings, we're here to heal in this world. We are constantly healing and letting go and growing. And that's why you healthy relationships feel so good. There is work, and every relationship requires work, but it's like you don't mind that work because you are allowing yourself to heal naturally, and you're allowing yourself to let go naturally, and it feels good, and you grow
Mm.
and you level up into these versions of yourself that you need to grow into. And what I love about secure relationships is, you have the spiritual unity, and the two of you have to work on each other individually, and
Mm.
then you have to work on the spiritual unity, you
Mm.
know. And the spiritual unity isn't going to blossom if the two pillars aren't going to thrive and work on themselves and
Wow.
be there for each other, you know.
Oh, so how
So,
can someone, oh, sorry.
no, I was just going to say, so you get all of these different attachments out there.
Mm.
You get an anxious attachment, you get an avoidant attachment, you get an anxious avoidant attachment, and you also get a secure attachment. And the best thing to do if you are everything but a secure attachment, the best thing to do is to continuously work on yourself so that you can become a secure attachment for yourself
Mm.
before you can give yourself to others.
Mm.
And then, as for the secure attachments teaching, is to um, a secure attachment will either attract both an anxious or an avoidant attachment, or an anxious avoidant attachment. Now, even though that secure attachments is very supportive and will help those other two attachments, it's really important that that secure attachment also receives a partner that's also just as secure as them for a thriving, blessed, healthy relationship to move forward. Or the secure attachment can help the anxious one or the avoidant one to become secure over time. But there needs to be a balance.
Do you think there's an attachment style that's quite most typical with narcissists?
Yes, that's the avoidant attachment.
Wow. I think I'm a recovering avoidant attachment. I don't think I'm narcissistic though. But I'm actually, it's really interesting acknowledging that and overcoming the avoidant attachment. I think a lot of it is around fear.
Mm-hmm.
And also because I've just written an article about it that's going live tomorrow on Substack. And
Yeah.
I think one of the myths about avoidant attachments people is that they avoid commitment. They actually, they want an ideal relationship. I think,
Mm-hmm.
that's the thing. And then suddenly, you have these very high expectations that are not quite
Yeah.
human sometimes. So it's not that
Yeah.
they don't want it. It's just they want perfection potentially.
Yeah. Yeah. So
Mm,
an avoidance attachment needs to teach themselves how to be open
mm,
and how to be accepting. So it's all around self acceptance, self love, and self worth.
mm,
And what will happen, like as you mentioned, it's about that
mm,
idealistic relationship. Um, but at the same time, it's about allowing yourself to be open to allow that other person in. What an avoidant attachment will do, or what a narcissist will do, same thing, is they'll say, "You too much,"
mm,
or you you're too intense for me. You have a lot of intensity. But what that actually means is you're absolutely fine. You're loving as you are. You're perfect in every way. But to them, they are struggling with their own reflection that's received in your mirror. And that's why they're saying you're too much, you're
Because
too
they're not
intense.
enough. Maybe they don't feel enough. Maybe.
In one version of themselves. Because remember,
Mm,
it's all about them in that reflection. So I may be reflecting out something to them that they just not ready for in learning. But the reason why it's being reflected to them is because they actually are ready. But it's up to them to accept that version of themselves within that
mm,
light that's being mirrored to them.
mm. Tell us more
Um,
about the recovery then. So, how does one recover from this?
sure. So I have a method which is called the Heal and Thrive coaching method. It is neurolinguistic programming. And basically, it's a 12-week course where I take them on a journey. So we do a lot of healing in the very beginning. So it's
Mm,
all about getting to the root cause of
mm,
all of the trauma.
mm,
And that trauma, they may recognize it in that relationship, um, or that marriage, but you'll find often it goes deep into childhood. So they may be with that partner right now or healing from that partner, but it's reflecting a whole lot of healing that needs to be like, healed from like your childhood days. So we work through all of that, and then we move into the growth phase. So really building the ladies up and building their confidence up and really aligning with their truth.
mm,
And then the third phase is obviously the authenticity. So taking that truth further and diving deep into it and really understanding who you are and your purpose here on earth. So it's like that godly service is
mm,
another word for purpose, and really understanding ourselves. So by the time that they have healed within those 12 weeks and they have grown, they have built a deeper connected relationship with themselves, which is so important. Because when they are in this narc relationship or healing from this narc relationship, they would have been pulled so far away from their truth where they wouldn't understand themselves anymore. And they wouldn't have that relationship with themselves. So it's rebuilding that relationship and that connection and building that connection with our higher selves, which is so important.
wow. So, do you usually kind of, is there a certain stage when people usually approach you? Like, is it just when it's just over, or is it a little bit further along, or is there any kind of anything that you've observed with your clients?
Um, Many ladies come to me in various stages. So I've had ladies during their marriage, I've had
Mm.
ladies 5 years after their
Oh, wow.
divorce, I've had just women in, just exiting relationships.
Gosh.
So it depends
That's,
on them and their journey, but them being ready
oh,
is the
sorry.
most important. Like,
Mm,
if I feel you as a client are not ready, I'm going to be honest with you and I'm going to tell you that you don't seem ready, and to come back to me when you are ready to heal, because then I know that they're being true to themselves and they're honoring themselves and they want to work on themselves and they want to grow. And then I'll be with them throughout the journey,
mm,
because it's also about self acceptance
mm,
and really taking yourself to heart and really understanding yourself. So it's like you're really diving deep into who you are through the healing, because there would be a lot to let go.
mm. Do you think that people are not ready because they feel that's it feels safe because it's a familiar pattern?
Yes, and also a lot of people are scared of learning a lot about themselves.
Mm,
There's something that scares them. So it's about them to understand why they are scared. And
Mm,
until then, they will then be more ready to understand this thing that's been putting them off and now to clear it
mm.
and to
I
work
think
through.
sometimes when someone's gone through a very hard situation, there can be a lot of like victim consciousness, or they kind of like they were bad, I'm good. But I think it's about taking responsibility for what you played,
Mm.
how you attracted it. Would you say that's true?
Yes, holding
Mm,
yourself accountable is really important. And when you are in that victim mentality, you're not learning anything. You're
mm,
just feeling sorry for yourself all the time. And you're not choosing to want to heal, but
mm,
instead, a version of you is pushing out this need, but you're not understanding that need, that you do need the healing. But instead, it's like you seeking external validation from others by being victim, but you're not
mm,
doing anything about it.
Yeah, it's just like I'm good and that's enough. It's not enough. I think you really have to
Yeah,
kind of go back and, sweep under the rug, you know,
yeah,
get back to the
yeah.
core. Mm,
Good enough is not enough. You have to
mm.
go deeper.
Okay, I also heard a term called hoovering. What's that?
I haven't heard that term hovering yet.
Okay, because I think I just started watching a few videos of that. What's her name? Dr. Ramani. And then she's on my radar. So she's been coming up all of her content. She's kind of a famous narcissistic abuse YouTuber. She's got 1 million followers or something. But hoovering is like when they come back and when they sense that you're doing fine without them, and then they kind of energetically sense it and then reach out to you.
And
Or
then they can.
yeah.
So if you think of that on a spiritual level,
Mm,
you got to look at that deeper, and that's
mm,
actually a form of closure. If you're willing to put that closure in. So, um, I think that happens in just about every relationship when you've totally grown and you've
mm,
moved on. And then they appear again, and we've just got to look at it as reassurance that we've done really well in our healing
mm.
and we're moving on, we're moving forward, and then we can choose to just ignore that contact.
Wow. And do you think there's a certain stage when that happens to kind of be able to resist? I mean,
Definitely,
mm,
definitely. That stage occurs when you choose yourself and,
mm,
hold yourself accountable and honor your worth and your self-love that you have for yourself. And it's also all about boundaries.
mm,
So often what occurs is, especially in narcissistic relationships, is women, well, anyone on the receiving end, don't tend to honor their boundaries. And now you can't expect the other individual to respect your boundary until you yourself respect your boundary.
I think that's so true, because I think that's a lot very true with women in general. I think I've
Yeah,
been terrible with that. I've had friends as well who like I'm trying to make a plans at the weekend. They like want to wait and see what their partner's doing first, and your plan
yeah,
B.
yeah,
Whereas
yeah,
they're not doing that with their girlfriends or whatever. It's kind of like it's weird.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I hear it from women quite often, like they will get rid of their exes,
Mm,
and specifically being men, they
mm.
will arrive at the house with their toolbox and like, can I fix anything? Or I left something, and then all of a sudden the door, opens up and they walk through, and that's completely disregarding your own boundary. Like, what are
Yeah.
you doing?
Yeah, I know. You do need a man with a toolbox sometimes, though. It can be quite useful. Remember once we spoke actually a couple of months ago, and you mentioned something about we spoke about the nervous system, because I think I mentioned an analogy, or something I'd seen on a meme, which was when we're young, we search for partners who make our knees tremble, but when you're older, you want someone who's going to make your knees stable. And about I think you talked about the nervous system and spirituality. I can't remember exactly what you said. Can you remember that about kind of as a red flag, so to speak, if someone's making your emotional regulation up and down and
Yeah, yeah.
spirituality? Mhm.
So when it comes to a healthy relationship, we're not
Mm,
supposed to get butterflies in our stomach. Our
mm,
knees aren't supposed to wobble.
mm,
Everything is supposed to feel safe.
Mm,
and healthy and authentic, between
mm,
the two of you. Your nervous system is meant to be signaling to you that this is healthy, you're feeling safe.
mm,
But the moment you in a narc relationship, or a narc has approached you for the first time and is charming you up and so on and so on, those red flags are there instantly,
mm,
but you yourself have to acknowledge them. I remember with my ex-partner, who's the narc, she would send me lots of photos of herself, or was constantly changing her profile picture on WhatsApp. And I remember looking at the photos, and a voice inside my head was going, something's not right. Something's
mm,
not right. Don't get into this relationship. Don't get into this relationship. And it was the energy that I was feeding off from the photo. And, she's a very attractive individual and so on. But what is this signaling to me? Something's not right. So back then I should have listened. But the reason I went into the relationship was obviously a deeper teaching and meaning for me to learn about myself. And versions of myself obviously needed healing and growth. And that's obviously why I entered into that relationship, unknowingly.
mm.
And that was all like subconsciously. But it took me to go through that relationship to fully understand,
So
you
was it kind
know.
of a gradual thing, or was it just that you didn't recognize it at first?
At first, I didn't recognize it,
Mm,
and but it took time and actually understanding her behavior, understanding these narcissistic traits, understanding my health.
mm,
Because at the time, I was the personal trainer and health coach and life coach, and she would always put me down, put me down, and put me down. And I'm a very confident person. I'm very authentic. I'm one of those people where I know who I am and I hold my truth. And whatever I set my mind to, I go for it.
mm,
But she would bully me and verbally abuse me. And, you know, it just didn't feel good.
mm.
And, and it would lower my self-worth all the time. And it got to a point where I became very sickly and I developed an autoimmune deficiency.
Wow.
And I got really, really sick, and I had to close my gym, and and I had to obviously work on my health and work on this relationship, because she was also relapsing at the same time. So it was a really hard time for for us at the time, but at the same time it taught me a lot, and I had to go through a whole lot of healing. So that's when I then got myself a coach that focused on narcissistic abuse as well. And it taught me a lot in the healing, and that relationship also taught me a lot.
Yeah, it's been a great teacher, I guess, because these things teach you so much. I think negative relationships, we have to have that kind of awareness and to get out of it, I suppose.
Yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And that's why I'm constantly encouraging women
mm,
to truly understand their relationships and to understand who they are within and what they
mm,
are learning from this relationship. Because, in all honesty, there is no toxic human being,
mm.
but there are toxic relationships.
Yeah, 'cause it can bring out the worst in you. Because I think it brings out all the vulnerability. Can be a scary place, even for the best of people, the most confident people. Love
Yeah,
is vulnerable. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And we really need to understand ourselves deeply,
mm.
and to choose when to let go.
Yeah, and also the thing is, as it's a psychological thing, it can be very subtle. You think, oh, well, they're not hitting me, so it's okay. Would you say it's kind of more difficult sometimes to pinpoint? Um,
It can be. And I think with me, I was the dominant one in the
mm,
relationship. So naturally, none of this felt good at
mm,
all. And I had to make that change in the relationship. I had to break up with her and let her go so that I could heal my health and so on. So it just depends on where everyone is within themselves, within their own journey, and where they are within this relationship.
So what advice would you give to someone who has, let's say, who suspects that their friend is in a relationship like that, or they kind of know that their friend is in a relationship like that? Would you, how would you support them? Would you say something or?
Everyone has got to remember that we are all in these relationships for a reason. So you can be that best friend that's constantly encouraging, this isn't healthy, this isn't healthy, this isn't healthy. But it's up to that other individual to um, harness it within themselves to acknowledge that it's actually unhealthy,
Mm,
because they're not going to listen to that friend,
mm. I think it's
you
important to
know?
just to know that love is supposed to feel good, like most of the time. I think that's really important.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Mm,
And but a lot of people, when it comes to narcissistic abuse and that love, it's really hard for them to actually fully understand what is love. How is
mm,
love supposed to feel?
mm. Definitely. Definitely.
Yeah, yeah. And that's where toxic love comes in, you know?
Mm,
And but it's everyone in their own teaching and their own understanding of love. Because remember, love starts when you're a child.
mm.
So our first relationship is with our parents. So what is the love like?
So what is toxic love?
Okay, so when it comes to toxic love, we need to remember
Mm,
that nobody is toxic,
mm,
but there are toxic relationships.
mm,
And our love, how we learn how to love, starts from our childhood, starts with our relationship with our parents and our parents' relationship. So we receive their energy in how they transmit love to each other and to us.
mm,
So when it is unhealthy, we then learn those traits of unhealthy love. But it can be healed, because at the end of the day, unconditional love surrounds us
mm,
daily. And we are in this bubble of unconditional love, which is so pure and so whole. And that is the love that we need to turn to. So when
mm,
we are not receiving love from our parents or from our partner, true healing, true growth, and true, authentic, godly love comes from the unconditional love of divine. And that's where the healing starts. And that's just by turning to that love little bit by little bit, we can build on ourselves. We can build on our self worth, our self love, our self acceptance, um, and grow from there.
mm,
And once we like align with our authentic selves from that energy of unconditional love, it will teach us more about ourselves and teach us that this love that's represented in this relationship is really unhealthy. And the love that I've also been giving has
mm,
also been really unhealthy. So, how
mm,
can I change up this love?
mm.
How can I give more unconditional love that I have learnt within myself? How can I reflect it out now? And that can heal relationships when you do the work from within and turn to unconditional love rather than external, unhealthy, toxic love.
Amazing. I love that. A couple of questions I ask all of my guests. What is the book that changed your life?
I have read a lot of books in my
Hmm.
life, and I love non-fiction
Oh
books.
yeah, me too. Hmm.
So, two books that I can remember on top of my head is See at the Top by Zig Ziglar,
Oh
because not
wow.
only not only is it a professional book for, entrepreneurs, it touches on so many areas within us. So our godly selves, who we like, our identity, and our purpose in life. So that has always been a big one for me. And then I also loved the courage to be disliked.
Oh,
And
wow.
it's a plot twist in a way because it's teaching you more and more about your truth
I love that. I'm actually
and
reading
honoring
Choose
yourself.
to Win by Tom Ziegler.
Yeah.
His son, yeah, Zig Ziglar's son.
Oh,
I was in
wow.
an airport and I was looking at for the books and I was like, oh, this one. I just kind of energetically that this is the one. So he's kind of talking about. I haven't read anything of Zig Ziglar, so I might read that now because I'm curious. Yeah, talking.
Definitely. Yeah.
Mm.
Quite a thick book,
Oh,
but
this
it's
is a
really
quite
good.
small one, but yeah, I like. That's why I'm a big reader, so I'm always asking people what's the life changing book, so I kind of add them to my list, because I only want to read really good books.
Yeah. A
Mhm.
really good book that I'd recommend is The Three Doors
Mhm.
by Alex Banayan. I read
Mhm.
it a number of years ago. So it's about people that have come from nothing and how they've been so successful in their lives, but what they did in working on themselves
Oh wow,
that got them to where they are
amazing.
today.
Any books about relationships that you would recommend? Do you read about relationships or anything that's?
I do read about
Uh,
relationships.
mhm.
And there's the Let Them Theory by Mel
Uh-huh.
Robertson. Robbins.
Mhm.
That's a really good book. Um,
Mhm.
and I can't think of any off my head. I
Mhm.
should.
One that's really helped me is actually Things No One Taught Us About Love by Vex King. I think that's a
Yeah.
really good book. Yeah, I read it at a key moment in my life, and it was really interesting, all about different types of love, and it brought in
Mhm.
these new ideas about how love is our essence. So you don't get love from someone else; it's just we are love. So no one can ever take that
Yeah,
away from you. So it's really interesting.
lovely.
Yeah, yeah. What about a
Lovely.
quote that you live by, or are you going to say something? Are you going to say something
Yes.
about the book?
I was also going to say, I can't remember the name, but it's a book, it's a self-help book all about attachments.
Oh,
So the
is it called
attachment theory.
Attachment or something?
I
Or
think it is.
attached with the magnet on the front cover.
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
It's white and red.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's a really
attached.
good book.
Yeah, I don't
Yeah.
know who wrote it, but yeah, I've seen it around. Yeah. I've not read it,
Yeah.
but cool. What about a quote that you live by?
So I live by two quotes.
Hmm.
My personal favorite quote has always been that's helped me throughout my entire life is dream big, think deep, act fast, and finish strong.
Oh, love her.
And then my coaching motto that I live by is there's no such thing as failure, only feedback.
Oh, I love that. That's so cool. So where can people find you?
They can find me on my Instagram page, which is narc.healing.confidence.coach.
Hmm.
And my Facebook page is just Jocelyn Joan. My website is www.jocelynjoanlifestylecoach.com. So yeah, and LinkedIn is the same, just Jocelyn Joan.
And you're working with people worldwide, remotely,
Yes,
yeah?
yes,
Okay,
yes.
perfect. So if anyone is listening to this and who feels a connection, then reach out. Definitely.
Thank you.
Okay. Well, thanks for joining us today on the Orgasmic Lifestyle. It's been a real pleasure because we usually talk about relationships, but not from this angle. So it's really
Thank you so
interesting.
much, Venus. It's been an absolute
Mhm.
pleasure. Loved talking to you, and I look forward to connecting with you in the future.
Oh, thank you so much.